Gideon, there's nothing I hate more than arriving for the first time at a local cricket oval and seeing that they've replaced the beautiful natural turf with synthetic grass.
Why is that, Pete? Are you particular about the speed of the outfield?
No, mate. Obviously, I am, but it's worse than that. Synthetic grass releases toxic chemicals and microplastics that enter the atmosphere and our bodies.
That does sound pretty bad, a lot worse than a scraped knee, which you'll probably also get from playing on synthetic grass.
Yep. We're all starting to learn just how prevalent microplastics are in our environment, and getting rid of synthetic grass is just one of the ways you can reduce the harmful effects of microplastics on yours and your family's health.
For more information, check out the free and handy ebook created by Mindaroo at mindaroo.org/ebook.
Cricket et al. It's a website, it's a podcast.
Pete, it's a way of life. It's Gideon Haig over here.
Peter Lawler over here.
And welcome to Cricket et al., your independent cricket podcast, coming to you on the last day at the Gabba. A rain-ruined conclusion to a rain-ruined test match, but a fascinating final day. Mysterious, enigmatic, wrapped inside a riddle inside a conundrum. Peter Lawler?
You know, I reckon rain almost enhanced this match. I'm going to give the rain some credit. I have had
some of the best rain I've ever seen.
It is some fantastic rain. In fact, I've saved the best till last in a way. But I have bitched and moaned about the rain, but it kind of tormented us and teased us and teased out some very interesting possibilities in the match before finally saying, "You've had your fun. Yeah. Off you go." Yeah. And when I saw the ushers this morning pushing people out of the crowds because the lightning was coming, I think the weather was saying, "I've had enough. Bugger this." It was all getting a bit King Lear out there, pal. Yeah, so we got lightning twice, didn't we?
We did. I turned up this morning and
I'm supposed to be doing a backup recording, but that's all right. Oh, and I've just called someone. Keep going. It'll be right.
Yeah, so I rocked up this morning. I walked past one of the Channel 7 guys and he says, "So, get in. 10 overs max today. We're out of here. Ready for no cricket?" I went, "Oh, okay. Yeah, probably." I looked at the radar and frankly, it did look a little bit apocalyptic out there. So we did think that we would see... We got much more cricket than we bargained for today, but in the end it wasn't quite enough. There was sort of too much time and not quite enough time, wasn't there?
It was, yeah. It was one of those matches you just felt like Grant Hackett had to wade through the water to get to the other end, like under 1,500 metres. But still, so much to talk about.
Yes.
Again, it took a fascinating twist on the last day.
Yeah.
So to recap, India were having passed the follow-on.
Yes.
Were knocked over early in the morning. Australian innings
How many test matches do you know of where there has been a result when the second innings of the game has still been in progress on the last day?
And yet. If you hadn't looked at the weather radar, you might have thought it was possible here.
Yeah, but you had to look at the weather radar.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for not really looking at the weather radar.
Fans showed up, mainly Indian fans. They paid their $10.
They've got a great day.
The $10 went to the Usman Khawaja Foundation, so I like to see that. That's a good thing. Used to be a gold coin donation. CPI, mate. CPI. Yeah.
It was his birthday today too.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, happy birthday, Aussie.
38.
38.
38 years young. Although the shot that he played at Jasprit Bumrah, he looked all of his years, didn't he?
Yeah, well, but the Australian innings couldn't start because of the aforementioned lightning.
No. So they had that lead of 185,
and
the game was kind of in suspension. Yes.
You had a soundtrack. You had a soundtrack to the game.
I actually went off to the library again because I was reading this very interesting collection of papers. I ran into a Cricket et al. Subscriber who noticed the T-shirt and called me over, Gavin Bannerman, our friend. Turns out he actually works at the State Library of Queensland.
Gavin Bannerman.
Yeah.
G'day, Gav.
Thanks
for subscribing.
Yeah.
Is he a yearly subscriber or a weekly, monthly subscriber?
I think he's been a he
might
even be a foundation member. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. G'day, Gav.
Gav. We'll come round to your house and mow your lawn.
So I kept touch with the game. I thought, okay, looks like they're coming back. We might get a little bit of cricket. So I headed back to the ground. I got here just as Khawaja got out. Sat in the crowd, thought, nah, we're not going to get much further than this. But then I thought, oh, this is actually getting quite interesting. I might go back to the press box.
So Jasprit Bumrah blew out the candles on Usman Khawaja's birthday cake.
God, he's phenomenal, isn't he? He's phenomenal. And it was actually great to be out in the crowd while he was bowling, because there is a real presence about him. And because we had largely Indian crowds today, they really were making their presence felt. And, they were almost sort of exhorting Bumrah to greater heights. And he bowled a fantastic opening spell on a day when he would easily have been forgiven for not bowling, frankly.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I just remembered he got 3 wickets, didn't he? I meant to adjust my copy. I didn't. But anyway, when you read Cricket et al., Jasprit Bumrah has 1 more wicket than I said he did. It's 53 now, not 52, isn't it? My favourite bit in the crowd was a Sikh guy who didn't have an Indian flag to wave and didn't have one of those homemade signs.
But waved the baby.
Waving the baby. That's got to catch on, Don't shake the baby, but you can wave the baby in celebration at the cricket, and it's never too young to get your children into test match cricket. If you're out there and you've got some babies, bring them to the next test and wave them. Yes. Were you waved as a baby at the cricket?
Look, I don't know. I do remember I actually I was taken to Geelong West, games of Geelong West football. My parents used to stick a sign on my back saying, "Hello, my name is Gideon. If I look lost, please try and find my parents."
You're almost approaching that period of life where you might need that sign again, Gideon. Anyway, what about the game?
So it was a puzzle to begin with. Obviously, Australia was going to try and set a total. But of course, they had the countdown clock was ticking. Every over they batted was an over that they couldn't bowl. So it was a question of how quickly were they going to try and set a target. It didn't look as though they were going about it with any urgency early on. Revealed by the fact that they sent out Khawaja and McSweeney to open when they might have sent out Head and Marsh. They also, later on, they dropped Smith, fresh off 100, down to number 6.
Moved Mitch Marsh up to 4, did they?
But then he didn't look like he was really going all that hard.
No. I wonder if the idea was to get Khawaja and McSweeney out there and maybe get a bit of... Do the balls get damp anymore, or does the double lacquer stop them getting damp?
Well, there was an argument for just giving Khawaja and McSweeney the opportunity to bat sensibly, to see out Bumrah, just to sit on Bumrah, give him 5 overs, because if he hadn't got a wicket in those first 5 overs, I doubt he would have been back.
So that's what I think that they did, don't you? I didn't think that those two went out there like it was a T20 match.
No, it was confusing though. The shot that Khawaja played was, I thought, a kind of an airy shot. It wasn't quite a half volley, but he played it like a half volley. The Labuschagne shot, what was all that about? And front foot cut. He was 1 off 8, and he plays a sort of a slash at a wide one.
It was a smear.
McSweeney hits a near wide from Akash Deep.
None of them were shots with intent, were they? If they're trying to hit the ball out onto Vulture Street, you might have understood. Yeah. But they're almost afterthoughts.
I've said in my copy today, it was rock solid ambivalence.
Rock solid what?
Rock solid ambivalence.
Oh, yeah. Ambivalence. We used to call that at Maris Brothers College,
So then Mitch Marsh comes in. He sort of plays a firm-footed check drive. It's not really attacking or defending. He nicks off. Smith comes in, hits the ball back over the bowler's head. We go, okay, he's about to get a run on. He nicks off behind, next ball, down the leg side.
Down the leg side, a way in which we've seen him dismissed once or twice before earlier in this series. So might want to look into that one, Steve. Just a few notes for you there.
Travis Head plays the same way regardless. Always looks like he's batting to set up a declaration.
But didn't really get going, did he?
Didn't really get going. Pat Cummins comes out, points to the fences, hits a couple of nice line drives. But then,
I like the way Pat Cummins bats now.
Actually,
there is
played
a
well
real
today.
change in the way Pat Cummins
He actually showed some conviction. But 7 for 89, it was kind of as random and rickety as it sounds. It did remind me of that Test match in 1950, which I do love talking about, where Australia declared
do tell me about
7 for 32 after England had declared at 7 for 68. And England were 6 for 30 at stumps. It's probably as close as we're ever going to come to a Test match like that.
Yeah,
because these days, Test matches don't normally run the distance. This is the second drawn Test match this year. And the other one was rain affected in Trinidad.
It's almost going around a bit, isn't it?
We've forgotten how they work.
Yeah.
We've forgotten that you can actually have, paradoxically, a winning draw where you don't give the opposition even a sniff of an advantage. You don't give them anything to take away. And as India has taken something away.
I think Australia
from a test match.
Yeah, they've offered them an advantage, haven't they?
They have. Well, they've offered them just some positive vibes going forward. A game that they've chased since the very first day. So perplexing, I think, from Australia. They couldn't quite get their story straight.
Yeah, it was perplexing. And one of the Indian journalists asked me as we went into the press conference, who do you think comes out of this press conference with, with the most positive sort of intent or what do you call that thing? Momentum, which Pat Cummins doesn't believe in.
No.
He said, I've never been frightened of momentum. And I said, well, I really feel like it's the Indian bowlers have reinforced the fact that they have crosshairs on the foreheads of 5 of the top 6 of the Australian batters. I'm excluding Travis Head from that.
No, but Smith goes into Melbourne averaging 24. Labuschagne
But off 100.
16.
But off 100.
Yeah. Labuschagne is averaging 16. Kawhi is averaging 13. McSweeney's averaging 14.
Yeah.
And we're into the 4th test of the series.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there
It's
wasn't
grim, isn't it?
There was really nothing for Australian batting to show for Australian batting today. And in the end, it was a futile endeavour anyway. I just want to take a second to do a quick PSA for all of our beloved Cricket at Our listeners. We treasure your loyalty, and the last thing we want to see is any cricket fan struck down in bad health. One thing that can increase your risk of developing issues like heart disease is plastic chemicals. It's hard to avoid plastics. They're in just about everything, but we can try to be more conscious about what we're buying, especially when we're giving it to our children.
What should they have done?
Just better time. I reckon they should have better time.
So give up on chasing a result.
Give some middle time. Just spend some time in the middle.
Yeah, I would have liked it had it come off. I would
but
have
thought, but it was never going to come off.
Free your mind. Well, how do you know that? You free your mind. You free your front leg.
We've been sitting in the rain for 5 days.
No, I'm not saying. No, I'm not saying that a result came off. What I'm saying is, if you go out there and they say, hey, have a little bit of fun in the middle rather than trying to hang on and trying to defend and trying to bat properly as you have for the rest of the series. There perhaps is something to gain, as some first-class batters say, by just going out and batting with a little bit of abandon. It didn't happen, but if some of those batters had slogged a few and really sort of,
But they didn't show abandon, did they? They actually approached their task with... it was sort of
never
half-hearted.
really got there. Yeah, they never. They were muddled. They were muddled.
Yeah,
weren't they?
with good intent, but inevitably disappointing outcome. Anyway, look, perhaps we're being too critical. We've actually had a really interesting test match here, much more interesting than the weather has deserved. It's been nice to be reminded that a test match can last 5 days. It's been nice to be reminded that you can actually get a draw in test match cricket.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with a draw every now and again.
Depending on the sort of draw you have. I was still trying to recover from that one in the Ashes at the MCG all those years ago.
We've seen some fantastic cricket too.
We have.
Really first-rate cricket.
Travis Head, Steve Smith, Jasprit Bumrah, some great catching, some great moments. We've lost. We've played 3 tests and we've lost 2 players. Two of them have left. Essentially, are leaving the tour.
Yes.
After this test match. I mean, obviously, we know that Josh Hazlewood has done his calf, and he's not coming back. I think even if he gets fit, he's not coming back. And then tonight.
Yeah. Well, the press conference convenes. Rohit Sharma's up first, but Rohit Sharma's got a companion. He's got an escort. Ravi Ashwin sits down. I did think immediately, I thought, Ashwin's going to call it quits, isn't he? Because that's the only reason why he would come to a presser.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah.
Well, a rumour had gone around a little earlier.
Yeah, right.
That someone was going to retire, and I was asked who I thought it was. I thought, well, Rohit Sharma's going to do an MS Dhoni.
Yeah.
But as soon as I saw Ashwin, I thought, oh, yeah. I wouldn't have picked that.
Yep.
He didn't give any reasons for his retirement. He was eloquent, but brief in his press conference. Didn't take any questions. And then when Rohit was asked, he said, well, his reasons are personal. And when he was asked how he found out, he said, well, I arrived in Perth in the middle at the back end of that test match. I was told then, and he indicated, didn't he, that he convinced him to stay at least until Adelaide for the pink ball test, and that he wouldn't have minded having a look at the conditions in Melbourne. But Ravi Ashwin is not for that. He's on the plane and he's going home
tomorrow.
So one assumes there's something at home that's calling him back. He's played over 100 tests. He's taken over 500 test wickets. He's been an outstanding competitor against Australia, particularly at home. In that second series, I think he had 20 plus wickets in 3 Border Gavaskar Trophy series against Michael Clark's side, against Stephen Smith's side, and then more lately against that side that was captained by Smith and Cummins.
And actually the last test match of that series, that wretched test match in Ahmedabad, I thought he bowled fantastically well. He was the one bowler who really just did not give up on an absolutely pitiless surface. I remember thinking, what an absolute Trojan this guy is. He was game for every contest. I actually think he's bowled well in Australia. He's bowled better than his figures suggest. He's always been game for a fight. I think the Australians respect him hugely. Pat Cummins said so in the press conference. He leaves behind an absolutely epic record. And funnily enough, I've been reading his book. I Have the Streets on this too. I'm probably going to finish it on the flight home tonight. And it's a really terrific book about his upbringing in cricket. It's all about his pre-international career, and it's a fascinating case study in how an Indian cricketer emerges. He
began as an opening batter,
system.
didn't he?
He did,
He's got 6 test centuries from memory. Yes. But he started as an opening batter, didn't quite make it as an opening batter, changed to spin bowling, or concentrated on his spin bowling, and then made his debut in first-class cricket. He's from Chennai. I had breakfast around the corner there this morning, and Sonny Gavaskar was talking about the Southerners. And he said, they're just a laid back, he said he had to expressed admiration for Southern Indian cricketers and their approach to it. I think Ravi.
I reckon he's laid back.
No, I'm going to say that. I'm just going to say that. I'm saying he's got a languid manner. He's very funny.
Yes,
he is understated, but he's intensely competitive. I've always enjoyed his social media stuff.
Yes,
he's an entertainer. He's a very bright character. He brought a lot to cricket.
He's an engineer, isn't he? He's a civil engineer by background. He's got a kind of a professorial air to him. If ever anyone was going to win a Nobel Prize in cricket, it's Ravi Ashwin.
A Nobel Prize for Ravi Ashwin.
Yeah,
really.
It's a man who submitted cricket to the minutest study. He has the most inexhaustible fascination with it. You get the sense that when he's not playing it, he's thinking about it, he's meditating on it, he's airing some theory, he's testing some proposition. You get the sense he probably, dreams about it.
Well,
almost certainly he dreams about it.
It'd be a pretty mischievous sort of thesis that got him his Nobel Prize or whatever it was, because there is an air of mischief to him, isn't he? He's a shit stirrer.
Yeah, he is.
And he does a lot, and I think the Australians like that, because he would take them on. He's part of that modern Indian cricketer who's willing to beat the Australians at their own game. And of course, you had that fantastic sort of exchange with Tim Payne out here last time. Yeah,
I didn't think that was as fantastic an exchange. I thought that was actually quite a rude exchange on Payne's part, a rather disrespectful one.
Why did you think it was disrespectful?
But I did think,
Why did you think it was disrespectful?
Because he was saying, "Oh, you're so unpopular. You wanted to change IPL teams because you wanted to be captain." I thought that was absolutely needless, kind of gratuitous.
Really?
But I do remember going to see a presser where Ashwin was asked about bowling to Smith, and he used the nickname Smudge.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and nick Smudge off. I thought, there's actually a real kind of affection to that. Only
I think that's too familiar.
Touche.
Yeah, no, he's got no right to refer to the Australian Test captain as Smudge. Get back in your box, you Chennai creep.
I was really enjoyed watching him. I'm really going to miss him. I'm going to miss his method. I thought he was a really interesting player to watch. He had a really unusual method, like he was unscrewing the top of a bottle when he started to walk
Almost
in.
Click of his fingers kind of thing too, wouldn't
And
it?
I like the way that he batted. You know, his bat seemed improbably small compared to the large. He's a big man. Ravi Ashwin. For a spinner, he's a tall, strapping figure. He looks like someone who should bowl fast, but as it is, he applied a colossal intellect to the act of bowling.
A little bit of that southern humility too. And even in retirement, said, "Look, I'm really sorry. I don't want this to be about me. It's, Bumrah or Akashdeep should be sitting next to the captain, but I am." And said his piece, stood up, walked out. I was thinking, I'm going to have to give this guy a round of applause, and I'm glad he did. And a nice little nod to the press. He said, "Thanks for writing about me, the nice things and the bad things." And he always had a good relationship, I think, with the media. In fact, he kind of took it over himself with his
I'm sure that he is going
things.
to be a media property in his own right. He's a natural for it. He speaks well. He thinks well. He's lucid and convincing. He's got enormous experience and enormous respect in the game. I actually look forward to him. He may have more to offer the game than merely as a player.
Yeah, I've never got the chance to really engage with him. So maybe in his retirement we will. I don't think he's clearly not going to hang around and commentate the last two test matches with Barji.
No, pity. Pity, actually.
So Barji and Harbhajan Singh, that is, and Matthew Hayden doing Christmas videos, both as Christmas Grinches with boxing gloves on out there today.
You couldn't have foreseen that back in 2008.
Ain't no Nobel Prize coming that way. Is there anything else to talk about?
No, it's been a great test match. Yeah. I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it in conclusion. I don't want to see them all the time, but it adds an interesting tincture of variety to what we've seen so far. Both teams have, beaten the crap out of each other in the first two test matches. A stalemate is kind of fitting. They've sort of fought each other to a standstill. We've got a week to recuperate before we reconvene for the Boxing Day test. We look forward to having your company then. In the meantime, from...
that bloke looks like he's flying a kite out there, but he's actually bringing down that Hawkeye thing.
Spider cam.
Is that what they call it? Yeah. I'm always intrigued how they string that up there like that and then get it down. I can't look up because it gives me vertigo if I'm underneath. It's when they've got the cables up.
That's all we've got time for on Cricket Tale. Been great to have you with us. Look forward to seeing you soon. In the meantime, it's goodbye from me.
Good night from him. Thanks for tuning in, and before we go, we'd like to leave you with a bit of advice.
That's right. We know the best bats are made from pure English willow, and the absolute worst bats you could get are made from cheap plastic.
It's not that you'll be scoring fewer runs, but you'll also be absorbing plastic chemicals and sending pesky microplastics into the environment and into our bodies.
Yes, microplastics are everywhere around us, not just flying off dodgy cricket bats, so check out Mindaroo.org for a free ebook that'll guide you in living a healthier life with less plastic around you.